Well, there's been some recent positive movement in the dairy sector, from the advancement of the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act to an increase in milk consumption. Alan Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation joins us now for more on this. Alan, always a pleasure. Well, I understand the House committee passed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act just last week. A little background on this bill. Talk about this.
The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act essentially restores whole and 2% milk back as an option in school meal programs. Now, that was taken away in 2012, and at that time, whole and 2% were the dominant varieties of milk purchased by families for their kids. That's only become more so. Back then, it was about 2/3 of all the milk purchased. Now it's about 4/5 of the milk purchased. We would like to see, and we've been working with members of Congress to try to get what consumers are choosing at home to be also offered in schools as well. We're finding some success in that. You know, this is legislation that already passed the House of Representatives once, had overwhelming majorities in both parties in 2023, didn't get through the Senate. We're now through House committee action. We're more optimistic about the Senate this time around, and really feel that some way or somehow the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act can become law in 2025.
What's the next steps right now in this process? What's the very next thing we're going to see?
Well, you're probably about as good at predicting Congress as I am. But if you take a look at the classic civics class result, you know, you're talking about passage in the House of Representatives. There is a companion bill in the Senate. You know, that also needs to have committee approval and Senate approval. But again, we see clear pathways to passage this year and are very optimistic on this bill. If you go to NMPF.org, that's the acronym for National Milk Producers Federation.org, and you go to the advocacy section, you actually can sign up to be a dairy advocate and tell your lawmaker to support this bill. We think it's important for child nutrition. We think it's important for the diversity of school milk offerings. And we think this is something that'll be a good nutritional outcome for children.
Well, good idea. People need to let their voices be heard for sure. Another big thing, fluid milk consumption up last year for the first time since 2009. What type of increase are we seeing here?
Well, sticking on whole milk, you know, we had an excellent year for fluid milk consumption in 2024. You know, dairy consumption going up is a long-lasting story in dairy, but it's mostly because of cheese. Fluid milk consumption has been going down over the most recent decades, but in 2024, we saw that trend reverse. Now, led by gains in, once again, whole milk, you saw fluid milk consumption go up in 2024 over 2023. What's interesting about that as well is you've always heard about the plant-based imitators, right? The ones that are taking the name milk and purloining it for themselves when they shouldn't. And it's always talked about how fluid milk is down and the plant-based imitators are the ones that are up. That's opposite, folks. Fluid milk is on a resurgence. It went up in 2024. Meanwhile, plant-based went down for the third consecutive year. We're seeing a cultural shift back toward milk, led by whole milk. This is very exciting for the future of dairy and the future of dairy farmers. And it's something we'd like to see the momentum continue with by FDA enforcing its own standards of identities and making sure that milk is a term that is used for actual real milk, which is the product of an animal.
Well, seeing this cultural shift, do you expect this trend to continue? You think this is just the beginning?
Well, what's intriguing about this trend was it was the first time that it went up since 2009. And 2009 was a different situation. Height of the financial crisis, prices are going down, milk prices are rock bottom, grocery stores are basically giving away milk. This time, milk prices are actually pretty high. Consumers are still wanting it. That shows a real structural shift in demand, which, by the way, the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, getting that next generation of milk drinkers back in school, drinking the milk that they like, is only going to build on this momentum and create a brighter future for this industry.
Absolutely. It is all integrated for sure. Alan Bjerga, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us with the National Milk Producers Federation. A pleasure.